was not quite a cold opening. We could have had a little dance number or something, I don't know. Thank you so much, President Pelton, Chairman Greenhart, Board of Trustees, honored guests, faculty, staff, parents, families, friends, my new friend, Malia Venusen, who has been my confidant for the last 24 hours. Today, we are here. We're here to celebrate the graduating graduate class, Emerson 2013. Yes. Yes. Today, we are welcoming you into the world like newborns. We know that you're not little teenagers, you're graduate students, for God's sake. Some of you are married with children. But this is a rebirth. And it's so appropriate that it's happening on Mother's Day, yes. Yes, fathers, you get all the credit. But it's the mothers that push y'all out. Push you into the world, the birth pains that we go through. My husband, NBA All-Star, couldn't take it. He had to put my hand on the bed. He couldn't take the pain. He couldn't even take me holding his hand. The birth pains that you've gone through in the last 2 or 3 years to get to this day of definitive achievement. The papers, the research, the tests, the practice, the endless critiques that today says you join the ranks of some 32,000 alumni who since 1880 have catapulted what was a small New England school of oratory into a multifaceted college with a national and international reputation of having the top program to develop the necessary skills for leadership in communication and the arts. Wow. So I am happy, happy, happy for you, and I tremble for me. I do, honey. I tremble, because when President Pelton asked me to speak, I hesitated. I did. I had to hesitate. You all have this stellar faculty, Guggenheim and Fulbright Fellows, award-winning film directors, published authors, Obie Award winners, Emmy Award winners. Well, I have 3 Emmys, but they're all in choreography. Who are the dancers, honey? Raise your hands. Where are the dancers? See? No hand, 2 hands. I'm trembling. You have such amazing speakers have come here. David Gregory last year, Tony Kushner, you've had John Kerry, you've even had Felicia Rashad, my sister. We'll talk about that. This morning, Max was amazing. I said, Max, child, just give me your speech, honey. I can say it again. But I'm not Jewish or gay, so it wouldn't quite work. It wouldn't land. You have an alumni that reads like the who's who, from Norman Lear, Doug Herzog, is he still here? Where is he? He was here. Andrea Martin, Dennis Leary, Jay Leno, the makeup artist, Bobby Brown. Honey, where is the makeup when you need it? Yes. So I hesitated because I wondered, what would I talk about that would be of interest to you? What words of inspiration or warning could I impart to you? Maybe we should just have fun, and I could give you some inside Hollywood gossip and talk about Mariah Carey and Nick Cannon taking their vows at Disney a week ago. It incorporated everything you're trying to do. It was advertising, it was branding, it was fantasy writing, it was production, Deus Machina. Honey, she came out in this fabulous white wedding gown. They've been married 5 years. And in a glass horse-drawn carriage with her little baby on her lap, dressed like her, to meet her husband, Nick, and Rock, the little twin boy, dressed like military royalty. It was incredible, except, honey, we had waited for an hour and a half in the freezing cold, and all I wanted to know was, where was the fried chicken, honey? I just wanted to get out. Well, I knew that would be foolishness, so we wouldn't talk about that. Then I said, well, maybe we'll talk about Grey's Anatomy. You know, people don't even know that I've become quite a director. Quite a director out of fame, birthed my teeth on fame, and been directing Grey's Anatomy for several years. And as I know that there are 72% of you in this class are women, you just need to know it's tough. It is tough being a female director in this industry because you're sometimes the only woman in the room, often, all the time in the minority, and you have to run that set. So that means I have to come in there not over-prepared. I know what is wild. I know I'm not going to shoot it 10 times. I know how I'm going to edit it. I have my thing together. The crew loves me. Those guys are begging for me to come back. And then they cast me in the show and undermine all that good work. They cast me in the show as this fabulous doctor, Catherine Avery, the first urologist to perform a penis transplant. I don't know why they picked me. I don't know why. But it was good ammunition against my husband at night, I have to tell you. So there, after I've been directing the show for years, and I have a director of photography that is amazing, but he is tough as nails, no nonsense. You can't even hug him. I hugged him every time, child, just to make him uncomfortable, just to, you know. So there, after all these years of becoming one of their most sought after and favored directors, now I am in a black lace teddy rolling around in the bed with Dr. Weber. Lord have mercy. I gave the DP extra money to turn the lights down. Honey, you got to cover up the cellulite. I said this would be the end. This would be the end. But Grey's Anatomy is a phenomenon that really is of interest to you because of Shonda Rhimes. Shonda Rhimes is one of the most prolific, creative people in Hollywood. Whoever has 3-hour dramas on television at the same time? The Practice, Grey's Anatomy, and Scandal. Yes, honey, Scandal. Don't we want to be Olivia Pope? Ooh, child. How does she do it? Well, I can't tell you. All I know is that she rewrites every script. She edits, re-edits every episode. And she has 2 children. She's a mother. Women are strong. You know, we're often looked at as, you know, like a little ant. But ants can carry 10 times their weight. So girls, ladies, just take note. Or should we talk about what's going on in the film industry? You know, last year was such a toss-up. Argo was that horse that came all the way from behind. Life of Pi was genius and breathtaking. Flight was probably the most astonishing story of redemption. Les Miserables was beautiful and gave us Anne Hathaway's glorious performance. But the conversations in Hollywood were really about Lincoln and Django. That was pretty much all we were talking about. Lincoln, Steven Spielberg's masterpiece about leadership, an analysis of history, the passage of the 13th Amendment, and the end of the Civil War, written in a way that kind of paralleled the struggles that our President Barack Obama goes through. Django, a comedy about exploitation and brutality in the antebellum South. Quentin Tarantino shook up the world. Both were successful. Django made about 200 million more than Lincoln. But the real winner might have been the Avengers, honey. The Avengers made $1 billion. So what do? You write about what you care about, you write about what makes money, you write about what do you do? Or should we talk about Mark Sanford's win in South Carolina? His fiscal conservatism now ruling over Scandal? Maybe so. We could talk about the immigration bill. We could talk about Prince Harry. There's a lot of things we could talk about. But I think I am here today to ask all of you a question. One question, that important question that was asked of some of the greatest thinkers, artists of all time. It was asked of Da Vinci, the great sculptor, painter, mathematician, engineer, inventor, geologist, writer, after he painted the Mona Lisa. It was asked of Michelangelo after he sculpted the Pieta. It was asked of Puccini after he composed La Bohème. It was asked of Aristotle, the great philosopher, after teaching Alexander the Great. It was asked of the great Indian author of the epic Ramayana, of Mao Zedong, the leader of the Chinese Revolution and the Chinese Communist Party, after he wrote The Chairman, of Federico Lorca, after he wrote Romancero Gitano, of Uta Hagen, the great actress, after she played opposite Paul Robeson in Othello. It was asked of Ibsen when he wrote Peer Gynt, of Georgia O'Keeffe, of Ben Brantley, of Nora Ephraim, Frances Fitzgerald, when she wrote Fire in the Lake, one of the most influential critiques of the war in Vietnam. It was asked of President Barack Obama after he won his first term as the first African-American president. It was asked of the Tea Party the morning after he won his second term. It was asked, this question was asked of the great American poet and folk singer, James Brown. What you gonna do now? What you gonna do now? What are you gonna do now? You have been trained by the finest. You've had the privilege of a curriculum with interdisciplinary study that affirms new directions for the fields of communication and the arts. Emersonians are known to be talented, creative, and driven. You have been nurtured in a constantly evolving academic community, preparing you to be the leaders in all aspects of your relative fields. In this digital age, what you gonna do now? What are you gonna do now? Today says that you have mastered the skills. Who are you? When you look in that mirror, who is looking back? What makes you laugh? What makes you cry? What makes you get mad? What makes you quiet? What makes you still? What is the blood memory that infuses the spirit and the sense of self in each one of you? Everyone has a cultural DNA that you're born into, but that evolves, informed by your new friends, your new teachers. You have to know who you are so you can find the joy in the work that you have yet to do. That joy and that work will help you find your purpose in life. Oh yes, you have to have a purpose. You have to make choices. It's not just about coming out here and just singing and dancing and have your leg up to here. What are you singing and dancing about? What are you writing about? You're going to have to figure it out. All of you came into Emerson with something. I played Anita in West Side Story with Jerome Robbins, Leonard Bernstein, Arthur Lawrence, Sondheim, arguing over where I took a breath in a song. I came into that audition so dynamic. They were calling me Anita before they cast me in the part. But in working with Jerome Robbins, that great master, he changed my performance every week. Anita, do it like this. Anita, do it like that. For 6 months out of town. Some people thought that was terror. I thought it was a great challenge and an exercise. And then on opening night, he said to me, Anita, do you need to practice America? And I said, nope, Mr. Robbins, I got it. He said, well, I want you to do it tonight the way you did it the first time in the audition. I was like, what the heck? What? But then I got it. He was letting me know that I came in with it. And together in that period of time that we had worked, we had shaped it. I had discovered choices to make. Because in the theater, it's expressionistic, it's in the moment. You can't just go you go to the same river, but you never step in the same water. He was letting me know that it was mine. It was mine, that I had to do it. It belonged to me now. Your teachers have, like Jerome Robbins shaped me, have shaped you, have prodded you, cuddled you, kicked you, whispered, screamed. But now it belongs to you. What you gonna do now? What you gonna do now? You're MFAs in creative writing, MFAs in media arts, skilled with the ability to create linear and interactive stories for cell phones and videos. Been educated in theater, directors, writers, producers, actors, MAs in communication and management, prepared to achieve organizational goals in business and government and nonprofit. You have been introduced to the world here at Emerson. You have been developed, but you came in. You weren't empty-handed when you walked in the door. They wouldn't have taken you. They are looking for the best and the brightest. So you were special when you came in, but what now? Yes, there's going to be pitfalls, there's going to be mountains, there's going to be glass ceilings, but you can get across it. You're going to get across it. I can tell you, I crossed it. As a young girl, all I ever wanted to do was dance. Growing up in Houston, Texas, dance was my life when I was 4. I knew at 4 years old what I wanted to do. I wanted to replace Shirley Temple, dance with Bill Robinson, and be in one of those big musical films. Well, I never did that. But the heart and spirit of that dance pushed me my whole life. My mother tried to get me into the Houston Ballet Foundation. At 8 years old, we went up there and they said, no black people. No black people in ballet. Wow. She tried to pretend I was Mexican. They still wouldn't take me. So then she moved to Mexico. When I was 9 years old, my mother packed us up in boxes. We didn't even have luggage. And we went to Mexico, where my sister Felicia Rashad and I could go to the Bellas Artes. I could study with the Ballet Nacional. I learned Spanish, sort of. And when we came back, the civil rights movement had taken this country by storm. And finally, the Russian woman was looking. I got into the Houston Ballet Foundation when I was 13, turning 14 years old. I was the first black student they ever had. The board didn't even know I was there. They got really upset when they found out. But then when they saw me dance, they were like, okay, you know what, she can dance. We just keep this quiet, keep it quiet. And I was the hope for my whole family, for my community. And I trained in 14 classes a week when I was in high school. Talk about driven. So when it was time for me to go to college, I knew I wanted to go to the North Carolina School of the Arts. I wanted to pursue the ballet and just get even more skill and opportunity to perform. I flew all the way when I was 17 years old. I had never gone anywhere by myself. I was the best thing in the audition. And at the end of the audition, they used me to demonstrate and help the other girls know what to do. I went into the office and I wanted to know when would I be starting, and the man told me no. He told me no. This is not the right world for you. You need to go into something else. Your body is not right for dance. My body. Okay. Look, I weighed 102 pounds then. He told me I would never make it in the dance. And when I had to call home and tell my dad, he thought I was teasing. It was the hardest conversation I ever had. He wouldn't believe me. Oh, go on, girl, when you starting? Daddy, they're not going to take me. I don't think they want any black kids. Oh, girl, come on now. We know you're going to make it. I got home to the airport. My mother was there crying. The hardest thing she ever did, the worst thing I thought she ever did. And she said to me, Deborah, you failed. I said, Mama, I was the best thing in the audition. They used me to demonstrate. He didn't want, you failed, Deborah, you failed. Thank you, Mama, because she wasn't going to let me just be a victim and be a victim of what somebody else's opinion about who I was going to be and what I wanted to be. I had to make that determination for myself at 17, a lot younger than you at this moment. I could have stopped. Well, later, after I, 3 Emmy Awards for choreography, world-class dancer, choreographed the Oscars 10 times, that university gave me my first honorary doctorate. The first. North Carolina School of the Arts. And the only real lesson behind that is that perception is a learned phenomenon. Perception can change. That was his perception of me. That wasn't my perception. That was his. You're going to get out into the world and people will say no, or that idea doesn't make sense, or no. Let's try something different. You have to know who you are. You have to commit and believe, dream and do. It can happen. What you gonna do now? They're still waiting for me to come back over there. But perception is something we really need to consider. It is the organization, identification, interpretation of sensory information in order to understand the environment. Perception signals results in your physical stimulation. Light strikes the retina, smell comes from odor molecules, hearing from pressure waves. But I believe the real world is the unseen world. The world of thought, of discovery, of ideas, of passion. You can't see it. You can feel it. You can describe it. You can't see it in its moment. You can see the result. Maybe, yeah. We're in a time where you must go beyond your senses to become successful. You have to let your mind penetrate time and space, redefine reality every moment of the way. Dream it, make it so. You have to think outside of the box. Sometimes that means being lonely. Sometimes it might mean getting mad. But it means you have to believe. I came into the world wanting to just dance. I've become a producer, a director, an author, a composer. I produced Steven Spielberg's Amistad. That was my project that I brought to him. Everyone told me no for 18 years. The movie is history now. This September, I will open a new musical at the Brisbane Festival in Australia that will address gun violence and the challenges of our young people in the inner city with guns, police, gangs, religion, education. In Brisbane, because I live in Los Angeles and it affects me. It has affected me for the last 20 years that I've lived there, to read the paper and see a little kid, a wonderful young child, gone for no reason. Mistaken identity child, gone. Too young, gone. You live here in Boston, you know what that feels like. You know what I'm talking about. I'm doing something about it. What you gonna do now? What are you gonna do now to take hold of this world? We are waiting for you. This is your birthday. Today is your birthday. And yes, you should celebrate. You should drink champagne, shots of tequila. Give grace to your parents and your families that have made this possible. Continue to give homage to this incredible university and this faculty. But it's your turn now. It is your time. You're storytellers, you're scholars, you're interested in the human spirit, you're interested in people, you're committed to discovery of new ideas, truth. What you gonna do now? They asked James, what you gonna do now? And James answered, he said, Bobby, I don't know, but whatsoever it is, it got to be funky. Make it funky, y'all. God bless you. Make it funky.